What's up, everybody? Troy Cartwright here. Welcome back to another episode of 10 Year Town. We are coming up on our 1-year anniversary of this podcast, and last week I asked you guys to send in an email or a voice memo about something that you've learned from this podcast, something that inspired you or that made you think of something in a way that you hadn't thought about it. And I got so many amazing responses, and I'm really looking forward to showcasing these in our 1-year anniversary episode. So this is just your reminder to send in a response. You can just email it to me at troycartwrightmusic@gmail.com. And I really appreciate you guys listening and taking the time to do it. Thanks. Today's guest is a dear friend of mine, Jason Albers. Jason is the drummer for the band Flatland Cavalry, which just celebrated their 10th year as a band. In this episode, we discuss what it takes to be in a band long term, what kind of tips and tricks he has for living out on the road, where he wants to go in the future, and much, much more. I really enjoy these conversations with people who are doing this thing big time out on the road. And on a personal note, I'm so proud of Jason and of this band for all that they've accomplished. So without further ado, here he is, Mr. Jason Albers.
And we're in Nashville now. When I first met Troy, it was, I think it was, when was the first time? Maybe songwriter deal in West Texas. Had to be probably like maybe Lubbock.
Well, I'm trying to think if it was, did you go to the Larry Joe Taylor Songwriter Fest? This would have been so that would have been probably
2014?
It was 2014 or 2015. But that's when I met you guys.
You had a song, Coffee in the Morning and Whiskey at Night.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that was a great song.
Oh, dude, thank you.
Yeah, so I remember that. And then, and you came on the road, I played the Blue Light.
I opened for you guys, and I remember it was that your CD or EP release for the first record?
Yeah, it could have been if it was 2015. Yeah,
I remember it was sponsored by Dos Equis because y'all had 2 kegs.
Yes,
and I was like, these guys are doing it.
So
this band has sponsors. Like,
dude, it was just some dude down the street who happened to work at the distributing company in Lubbock who happened to, do Dos Equis, whoever, pick your poison, whatever. Yeah. He had a couple t-shirts, gave us a couple free kegs. We thought we were on top of the world. We're all still in like undergrad and going to school. Yeah. And, we thought we were real cool because we bought a van, like still in undergrad, just doing it. Yeah. And, we'd pick up the keg, throw it in the back and fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, dude. I mean, I remember a wild night that we had in College Station. That was probably it was a sold out show at the Tap.
Okay. Yeah. At the Tap.
Must have been 2016. I remember I have a video on my phone of me taking a Rumplemint shot with JR.
Yes, he does that.
When he was still in College Station.
He calls them breath mints.
Yes, he does. And I made him apologize to my, at the time, fiance in a video. And dude, just great memes, man.
Dude, and weirdly enough, that was almost 10 years ago.
Yep.
Here we are in Nash.
Yeah.
Just still playing music off the skin of our teeth.
Dude, we're still doing
it.
Can you believe it?
No, I really can't, man. I was scrolling and I saw I saw this podcast. I was like, this is badass. Troy's doing, doing whatever, middle-aged, middle-class white dude is dreaming of, just actually doing a podcast.
That's me. I'm doing it.
I was like, me and my brother, my friends, we talk about it all the time, never do it. So you got the initiative.
A lot of one of my buddies back home just roasts me. He's like, white men could go to therapy or start a podcast. They only choose one.
Hey,
And
I
said, hey, I do both.
Dude, it is cool to see you here, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, dude. Well, thank you for being here. I always start this thing off, and this we'll obviously have to go back. But how long have you been in town in Nashville?
So I've been here. I believe it was November of 2020.
Okay.
Weird year, by the way.
Yeah, a little odd.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
So definitely not 10 years. Still figuring out where everything is. Like as far as because I also live on the road. We're doing 100, 120 shows a year. So just kind of back and forth.
Yeah.
But been here for about 3 years, and it's everything. It's everything and more, man. Well,
yeah. Obviously this podcast is called 10-Year Town, but you've been on a longer than 10-year journey for sure, playing music and even with Flatland, right? I mean, how long have y'all been together? 10, 12 years?
I believe 10 years. The origin story, is more or less me and a couple buddies going to Texas Tech in Lubbock.
Yep.
We did that thing. Oh, you play this instrument, I play this instrument. We should jam.
Yeah.
So we did that. And hey, got a couple gigs over here at the local bar.
Yeah.
Playing some Garth Brooks covers here and there, yada yada, whatever the kids like those days.
Yeah.
Man, and then start coming out with our own stuff. And man, it's just building that up from there. Playing the blue light, buying the van.
Yeah.
Going around the scene, getting paid in barbecue and beer out in Texas. And
yep. It's literally just the game Guitar Hero.
It really
played
is.
out in real life. And it takes a little bit longer.
Cleto and I were talking about that yesterday about, so more or less how I got my first drum kit was new kid in town. Mom knew I didn't know anyone. So she got me a drum kit. I didn't really know how to play it. I was just tapping on things all the time. But I did have Guitar Hero. And I didn't know, I just knew music that was around me. My sisters were listening to Beyonce. My brother was listening to Linkin Park. And then, Dad had Top 40 on the garage while he's cleaning out his garage.
Yeah.
But Guitar Hero was the first time I knew about Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yep.
Texas Flood was the master one, right?
Yeah.
I'll start looking up that and rock stuff Pixies, Rage Against the Machine, all that stuff. And then Rock Band came out and it had the drums on it too. Yeah. So I got that. And then I would go back and forth, just kind of essentially taught me, just essential grooves.
Well,
really weird.
It taught everybody, I think, it introduced people to a lot of more music than they were listening to, because it was reintroducing a new generation to the classics. Right.
Yeah.
And it was very just potent there for a while. I don't know. Are kids still playing Guitar Hero? Probably not.
Dude, I think kids are way cooler than we were back then.
Yeah,
they're already getting they have more likes than all of us.
Dude.
At 12 years old.
Yeah. I know. Some of these younger artists, I obviously have an affinity and keep my eyes on what's going on in the Texas scene. And it's it just seems like it's happening faster and faster for than it was, when we were starting out, right? It was get a van. I had a GMC Yukon with a trailer.
I remember that thing.
Yep. And, we'd pile 4 or 5 into that thing and just drive wherever. And that was I think that's still an important component of it, but you can get pretty far with your cell phone and a great song at this point.
Absolutely.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. Yeah. Guy I was riding with the other day, he was showing me a song. He's like, check this demo out. The demo sounds fully produced. I'm like, that's radio ready. What are you talking about demo, dude? Yeah. And he was like, oh, it's so-and-so. They just put it up. I was like, no, that sounds legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe it's just my lack of knowledge of production or just whatever. But to your point of just technology, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. I don't know.
It's crazy. But I think, and I was thinking about this on the way in, that the way that you guys have done it, the long, slow, hard way is the best way. Because I look at what you guys are doing now, and I think my favorite thing about it, well, first of all, I love you guys, so it's awesome. But it's also like, I think it's a testament to like doing all of the really hard, important stuff, make great records, build it one fan at a time. And like, you know, keep your eyes. I feel like y'all have always just focused on what y'all are doing, not what anybody else. Maybe that's not true. Maybe you look around a little bit, but to me, it seems like y'all have been doing the great path the whole time. And like, look at you now. It's awesome, man.
Man, like you're saying, thank you for that, for one.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the very beginning, I think we even knew it was like, someone coined the analogy of like, let's go up like a nice Boeing, a Cessna, instead of a rocket.
Yeah.
Like we had the opportunity just to go up like a rocket, because that takes a ton of resources. But it was just, we were more interested in going far with each other.
Yeah.
Just throwing miles on, and there's plenty of lessons learned, there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. I'm super grateful for it. And like you're saying, doing our own thing, I think we can all fall into that game of like looking at the numbers, whether it be, oh, what's capacity here? Are we selling it out? Yada, yada.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, Jason has to focus solely on what he does, because if you get caught up with that, then I've realized my own personal thing, that if I'm worried about how many people are there, if we're able to, make the bills, all that stuff, leave that for the manager and focus on my own work,
Yeah.
Because and I guess that's really, I feel like that's really the only way we've gotten as far as we have,
Well, that's interesting. So like in the context of like, you guys are a band, right? Obviously you play drums in the band. Like, what are all of the things that fall into the scope of your work?
Mm-hmm. To me, it's numero uno. I play drums.
Yeah.
For Flatland Cavalry.
Yeah.
Sorry, my ears are a little bit.
Oh, is it?
A bit off.
Is it?
Here we go. Numero uno. I gotta be able to play drums, live drums.
Yeah.
Just keep it smooth and control. And then, after that, more or less, I feel like performing is much more than playing drums, but just engaging with people.
Mm.
Man, I feel like a show, to me, I look at it a really weird way. I feel like 2,000 years ago, we were all doing the same thing. Someone came back from successful from the hunt. Someone lit a fire. There's someone playing music. There's a medicine man somewhere.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that much different today, except different elements.
Right.
There's a reason to celebrate because someone's busting their ass 40, 50 hours a week, wherever, at the factory, at the office, in the cubicle. And, so they're celebrating the weekend. Someone's selling some beer. Someone's selling some other stuff too. Yeah. There's a medicine man. But yeah, then there's that one guy that's just goof. There's the, so there's always the drummer. So I just feel like, more or less getting their foot tapping.
Mm-hmm.
That's my job first and foremost. But, after that, just making sure that everybody else is taking care of, crew and just fans, just engaging, man.
Yeah.
I don't like the term fans, supporters,
Yeah. They're there to tap in to the same thing that y'all are tapping into, which is
great way to put it.
Very hard to put into words, but it's like, I don't know. It's just that's what music is, man. It's something that brings us together, and to get to experience that with other people is like, it's magic, man.
Dude, it's truly magic, man. and just trying to be a vessel for whatever is going on around us, trying to be a vessel of that good feeling, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, like, when was the first time, like, for you when you picked up a guitar and you're sitting on the side of your bed or wherever, you know, just like, whoa, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.
And taking that moment, giving it to everyone else, doing your best to do so at least, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've all been gathering a sense of community, keyword community.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like to focus on too.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you, so like, what are some ways like that you feel like you have like helped facilitate that like over the years with your supporters?
Man, just people coming out to shows afterwards. What's up? Finding their story.
Yeah.
Everyone's got one. And just, you know, taking the time to talk and engage, you know?
Yeah.
We have an app, the community app. I try my best just to, everyone's got a birthday on there. Just, hey, what's up? Today's your day. Go do something for yourself. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
All that stuff. Just, you know,
That's awesome.
it's not, it sounds contrived or it could, but, you know, I come to terms. It's just like, man, people that keeping the lights on for us and, you know, able to do it, you know?
Man, I think that's so true. It's actually like hard to accept, but at some point you do. I do the same thing. I have community app, and I'm like, you know, it'll like let me know it's somebody's birthday. So I will text them, but I'm like, I'll tell myself, oh, they don't want to hear from me, you know, like
yeah,
all that stuff. And it's like, and it's the same thing when I'm at a show and, you know, somebody's got a job to do that day, whether it's a sound guy or you got a runner or whatever it is, somebody's helping you load in, you know, accepting that like we're all trying to do something. So like being able to like receive the help that is being offered to me is like, actually like I've tried to become more accepting of that thing.
Yeah.
I know that's like kind of hard to explain.
No, I'm catching, I'm smelling what you're stepping in, brother.
Yeah.
I've also white knuckled it too, you know, just held on it so tight to where, you know, other people have had to come in and be like, hey, they got this, you know, it's like, hey, don't worry about this. This is, you know, we're in a good place, you know?
Yeah.
To the point of just like, okay, I can relax and trust, another keyword with the team.
Yep. You got to trust your team.
But I've noticed that within, I guess the last year or two, especially after, you know, things have really ramped up for Flatland, getting some new management and good opportunities and, all that stuff, how important it is to totally trust your team and not have to worry about it, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're having a moment.
Well, I mean, we're just it's like that's more of like an existential thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But we're big on I know. I've just been having like an existential crisis for decades now, so it's fine.
Yeah. I think it's your next album, call it Existential
Crisis. So I want to go back a little bit to, you know, you guys have kind of had like kind of I don't know, this is me on the outside looking in, so I may be completely off base, but you guys have kind of had all these different chapters, right? So you guys sort of formed out in Lubbock. Yeah. And you lived out there and toured. You were based out of there touring, right? For what, 3 or 4 years at least?
Yeah.
Or was it not even that long and I'm just imagining it?
No, we were based out of there until 2018.
Okay. And then you moved to Fort Worth?
Everyone moved to Fort Worth. I moved to Florida. I was following a girl. She's my wife now.
That's good.
So that makes it okay.
Yeah. Good. Sorry.
No,
good investment.
Yeah. So it was 2013 to 25 years we were out of Lubbock.
Yeah.
From Lubbock to, like you said, the Texas-Oklahoma scene.
Yeah.
So every Sunday was that extra 3 or 4 hours in the van.
Yeah.
Long drives to Lubbock, but beautiful sunsets.
Oh, Lubbock is a very special place.
Dude, it is. Very unique.
Yes.
West Texas in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool to know too that everybody in the band is kind of from that region. Which, you know, what I'm trying to say is we're all kind of weird because we're from there, you know. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's cool to be doing coast to coast stuff across the pond and experiencing these new experiences with like-minded people that have the same upbringing. Well,
and same journey.
Yeah.
Because y'all been in it together for so long, which is awesome. When y'all moved from, or I guess when the rest of the band relocated from Lubbock to Fort Worth, was that like logistical, a lot of it, and just being closer to stuff? Or was it like, all right, I don't know. Did y'all think about it, or was it just like something that had to happen?
It seemed like the next step.
Okay.
It seemed like logistically Dallas Fort Worth is a lot easier to get to. You know, now we're doing stuff in Arkansas, Missouri. Right. And then more or less I was just flying in from Florida every weekend. And we were able to, that's when we really hit our strides, going from Seattle to Miami or Keys, you know, doing the Keys, and Boston to San Diego, and really putting miles on the van, and then bumping up to a bus around that time. So it felt like, you know, we were really doing it then, getting into a bus, and then, you know, just rolling through. And it felt like we were getting to know more of America. Mm-hmm. It's more of the people, because we were there. It was everyone's full-time job. What it was too is at 2018, I finished school and Reed finished school finally. And Cleto and John had already been out. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it was full-time. It was like, it's on, brother.
Yeah.
And then, that was 2018, 2019, and then 2020 hit. Yeah. And we were still able to do a couple here and there. But,
sneak some shows in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Texas and Florida they opened up pretty early, you know?
Yeah, they did. They sure did.
And then when y'all moved to Nashville, was that like was that another time where it just seemed like the next step, or...
Yeah.
You know,
it was, so right before 2020, right before COVID all happened, we had this awesome opportunity, privilege to open up for Luke Combs over in San Antonio.
Yeah.
At the AT&T Center.
Oh yeah.
Just direct support. We couldn't believe it. And, first time at an arena show. So after our set, you know, we felt like we crushed it, all that stuff, meet the rest of the guys. A couple days later, we had parted ways with a manager.
Yeah.
30 minutes later, we get a call from a guy named Chris Cappy, who's Luke's manager over at Make Wake.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you guys need a manager interested? And like, he wanted to be our manager more or less. So after long months of talking, and, you know, we had COVID off, you know, we linked up with him along with Dylan Wright over at Deep Roots Management. Yeah. He, you know, they both took us on because Dylan was our tour manager at the time. So we needed someone that we knew. And then
you kind of needed that, like, I would call it like, you need somebody in the trenches with you, giving you that direct support. And then big picture.
Yeah. Yeah. He's flying 30,000 feet in the air, you know? So, Chris Cappy is, and then, Dylan is, I mean, he's a V10 engine, you know, just ready to go for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that made sense because it was over here in Nashville. Yeah. So about half of us made the jump because, hey, we're not doing anything else. We're not playing shows because it's COVID. And so it kind of made it a little easier because we were doing 110, 120 shows at that time a year. So made it over here. And that's really what brought us over here. Yeah. To be closer and just, logistically, bus companies, there's an infrastructure for it here out of Nashville. So that made it a lot easier just to go coast to coast. You know, made touring easier. The infrastructure here is it's here.
Yeah. And it's more central to more, I don't know. I guess
More
Nashville
people.
is like close. You don't realize it till you start touring out of here. You're like, oh, this is kind of oddly like within a day's drive of like almost everywhere except for the West Coast.
Yeah.
But even like Lubbock, I mean, it's a long day, but you can get there in a day, you know?
Yeah. It's that's demographically, Nashville seems to be at the center.
Yeah.
Population, disbursement, all that geeky stuff.
Yeah.
But I can be in Ohio in 4 hours. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I can't do that out of Lubbock.
Right. Yeah. 4 hours out of Lubbock, you're not even to Dallas.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's funny. Well, I guess one of the questions, I was thinking of a few things that I was curious about on the way driving in here today.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember when y'all got the opportunity to be direct support for Luke Combs the first time, playing an arena for the first time. What is the difference between playing? You've played a lot of club shows, you've played a lot of bars, all that stuff. What's the biggest difference from going from like a club to an arena? Just from playing, like, what does it feel like?
So from honky tonks and clubs and all the way up to, man, this last one, we were doing stadiums with them. 17 shows.
Yeah.
So like first one's at AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium. All that stuff is obviously the people.
More people.
There's more people with that. With more people, there's more pressure to throw your best foot forward, really, because no one wants to be misunderstood. We're great players, or Cleto's on the mic in between songs, explaining what's going on. But you have to understand, the bigger the crowd, the more generalized they're going to see your music, your songs. So more or less, I guess, putting it more concise to them.
What do you mean?
What I'm trying to say, this is a good question. Sorry, I'm pulling it out of my head as we speak. I feel like the difference between a smaller venue and larger venues is essentially the pressure of, like, to me, it's scary playing in front of like 30, 40,000 people, because there's always that stupid fear. Oh, what if I mess up? What if I, like, I'll let the guys down and everyone's going to think I'm a bad drummer, and, which is it's all fear-based. It's all bullshit. Right.
Yeah.
But that, the first time you do that, first time you play these massive shows, you start thinking about that, and at least I did. But then you realize the audience it's a conversation between the band and the audience. And each, if we try to strive to be one sound.
Yeah.
And if we look at the crowd as one person as well, as far as how they're taking a song, or, where to take it, it doesn't matter if it's 50 or if it's 50,000, as far as almost a conversation sake, not, more or less, why be worried about me when I'm supposed to be worried about them,
Yeah.
They're the ones that buying the ticket, it's like how, you figure out how selfish it is to worry about messing up, I guess.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
Does it big level?
Yeah. I mean, does it get, for the first time, it's just a lot. You're dealing with whatever the pressure. It's a lot of pressure. Do you remember, like, does it sort of, like, it's not like you get used to it and like you take it for granted for a way, but like, show 8, show 9 of a stadium tour, are you like, do you feel like you're finding like more of the wave? Yeah,
totally. Everyone's got more trust with each other. So, I mean, and we pretty much stick to a blueprint of the show. We'll switch it up and here and there, but as we go on, where we've been playing with y'all. We've been playing music with each other for 10 years. So
yeah,
I'll know when he goes a couple bars more on that solo. and we'll just go back into it. And, when they'll do that one thing and yada, yada. But yeah, to your point, definitely you get into that groove as you're going on with it all. And then after that, it's a total thrill. Because you're talking to a really cool person, and that person is a stadium, of people. So it's definitely nothing like I've ever experienced before.
Yeah.
So it was total privilege. It was awesome.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you guys, I don't know, do y'all set goals, or do you just sort of like, if you're trying to, if you imagine in a perfect world 5 years from now,
of course,
what does your life look like, and what is the life of?
I think our goal too is because I'll preface it with this, because we wear a lot of hats. We used to be just Jason, just John, just Reed, just Cleto, but now we're John's father. And I'm husband and all these things. Don't want to forget about being a brother and a son.
Yeah.
I think success for us looks like being able to tour X amount of months and give ourselves X amount of months off.
Yeah. Balance.
And a bit of balance in home life. And I think that's the chapter we're in now, of just figuring that out.
Yeah.
And being home on Sunday doesn't mean just rolling in the door. Being home says, "What's up, babe? Let's throw some steaks on the grill. Let's catch up."
Yeah.
All that stuff, and relationships, outside of all this. So I think there's definitely that. And, we hope to be playing arena shows of our own, amphitheaters.
Yeah.
We had awesome opportunity to play with Willie Nelson. We did 5 shows with him.
Wow.
And the rooms he plays are awesome because it's amphitheaters. It's got a different vibe than anything else, it feels like.
Yeah.
Just
what is that? What is the difference between an amphitheater and, a stadium or arena?
It feels amphitheaters by nature, I think, are outside, right?
Yeah.
So it feels like a giant campfire.
So it feels almost like more like Larry Joe Taylor Fest vibes in a way.
Yeah, in a way.
With
certain
less
different
with
things.
less chugging, maybe.
And with less rascals, and more people just kind of hanging out, and not being as crazy. But I think we pride ourselves to a point. Anybody can come to a show, all age groups, whatever. It's not just a certain type of people. So everyone come on out. It should feel like there's a campfire and we're all just hanging out, telling stories, playing songs. I think that's the goal.
Yeah.
And some amphitheaters. That would be dope.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, just I'm very I always get so inspired, like talking to people and hearing, how people view different things. And I'm really inspired, I think probably because I'm in a similar place in life as you guys, of like trying to make sure. For so long I only cared about work. So to be able to focus on, it's like, yeah, I do. I got mom and dad, they're getting older, I got a sister, I got a nephew, I got a wife, I got to, invest my time in.
Sure.
And, going on the road is fun.
Oh yeah.
It's work, but it's fun. And trying to go all right, we got to find the balance. We can't, it's not all about me anymore.
Sure. And that's what I've found out helps out so much, is not talking about how the weekend was, how the road was. I'm rolling into the house where, she's been there for the last week doing whatever. She's got her own stuff.
Yeah.
Ask more questions than, than anything.
Yeah. What have you been up to?
Yeah. That's at least a good way to start.
Yeah.
Same thing with seeing family for the holidays,
Yeah.
Doing that. And
it's so easy to get self-absorbed.
Yeah, it
because,
is.
We think what we do is so cool. And I mean,
right.
It's pretty cool.
It's pretty badass.
But it's like, I don't know. Sometimes I like, I'm so close with all my buddies back home and like talk to them and like, they're going to work and doing the weekend and going to watch the football game at the bar. I'm like, man, that sounds kind of nice.
Sounds awesome. No, seriously.
like a salary.
Yeah. Right.
Just like you kind of know every week what it's going to look like. I don't know. That's very
a bit of security.
Yeah. I'm very like, I often find myself being like intoxicated by that idea. It's like,
totally.
where's the medium in between those two?
Yeah. And it's good. A town like this, I feel like that's the closest thing to it because there's an infrastructure for it here. So you can, the booking, the management, all that. Yeah. And that's why I'm so grateful for them because I feel like they can kind of level that out,
Yeah. Well, it just allows you to, look, I was talking with a buddy of mine last night for about 40 minutes, fellow songwriter, fellow artist. And, as we all go through, I think he's feeling a little blue right now. Just having one of those moments in life where you're like, you feel like everything sucks or whatever. And it doesn't, but you feel that way. And I told him, I said, man, the thing that is so easy to forget is that in order to do any of this stuff, we have to survive. And like surviving is like making sure that all of the regular things, your health, your home life, your budgets, your just like the real life stuff. Like you got to have that stuff honed in a little bit, dialed in. Absolutely. So that you can survive. If you can't survive, you can't go on, you're going to burn out on the road. You're going to wind up with some stuff that you shouldn't be doing or whatever. And it's like, so, I was like, dude, I don't know anything, but I just try to remind myself of that sometimes. If I'm feeling like extra burnt out, it's like, okay, man, I just got to slow down. Because if I burn myself all the way out, then, I'm not going to be able to do it anymore.
And the funny thing is on the road, that happens.
What?
As far as
the burnout,
right?
Yeah.
And there's moments, I've found out I've surrendered all privilege to complain. Anything, because when one person does it, the other person does it, and then it's very contagious, at least in the bus, of that. We call it the vortex because after 10 to 14 days, you kind of forget what's really going on in the real world, because you're sleeping on a pirate ship with 14 other people on the interstate. And more or less, and dang it, I wasn't able to call my wife today or whatever, and you just kind of, all that happens. And then you can kind of tell it's like someone's having a bad day, it's like, all right, don't cut them a little slack today or this and that.
Yeah.
Cause we all have it.
Yeah.
And I've totally realized you have to take care of yourself, especially in something like this, where it's your job to stay inspired.
Yeah.
Which is, it's a tricky thing.
It's hard, it's hard, man. And it comes and goes, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like every time I learn something new in a good way, I like find another lesson I have to learn. So it's a constant up and down, back and forth. Well, I got one last question for you before we get out of here, which is just like, if you were starting over, if you were starting your journey all over, but you could send down a little bit of wisdom to younger you.
Ooh.
What would you tell him? You only get like a 3x5 note card.
Ooh, okay. I was about to say like one sentence or, okay. I would definitely say, take care of yourself for sure. It's like sleep. I would say on the road, your best friend is a nap. Your best friend is a nap, and then keep your shoes on at all times. Just, if shit goes down, just so you can just roll with it. Yeah. And then, like take it seriously, maybe not as much beer, but also don't take it too seriously.
Yeah.
Because along the way you find out both of that spectrum, we don't take it serious enough, and then you do. So, find a common middle ground. Yeah. But Yeah. If I could, I guess that would really be the only two things.
Dude,
just focus on the work at hand.
That's amazing. Yeah, back in I think it was episode 2, we had a songwriter on named Mark Beeson. He's been writing songs for like 35 years.
Yeah.
And he said something along the lines of like, this is the ride. Like, this is it. The journey is the fun part. So enjoy it. And
yep, he's a songwriter. He said it much better than I just tried to say it, because that's what I would definitely say.
But it's the same. It's
journey is the ride.
I mean, you know, I think this is my 30th or 31st interview that I've done, and it's so fascinating. Everybody's story is different, but so much of it, whether you're, you know, drummer, whether you're a songwriter, whether you're a publisher, whatever, it's like a lot of it is the same. And it's like, you know,
live in the present,
live in the moment, enjoy it, enjoy the people you're with.
Yes.
And, you know, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah, dude. It's essentially what it is. Live in the moment. And here we are.
There we are.
So happy to do this podcast with you.
Dude, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, man, we'll talk to you soon. That's it. That's the pod. See you later. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of 10-Year Town. If you're still listening, you must have liked it. So we hope that you will leave us a rating or review on Apple or Spotify, or give us a subscription on YouTube. It's all free. Don't cost you nothing. But we appreciate you being here, and thank you for supporting the 10-Year Town community. See you next week.